A bigger round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Shriya joining us today.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Waiting for the lunch break, that's why.
I
It
completely
can be a bit
understand.
louder.
I'll keep my conversation extremely short, even I'm hungry.
No, we have the timer running there, so
Oh,
we have to
perfect.
stick to
Okay,
that.
good. That helps me. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us here today. And I want to begin by asking you, what does the word sustainability mean to you?
To begin with, I must say that I'm not here as any kind of expert. I'm here as a very curious person who's started a journey to really understand what is the kind of awareness I want to build, what is the kind of impact at my level I want to create. A friend of mine, whose name is Amogh Varsha JS, who's made a film called Wild Karnataka, he spoke on a panel recently and he said it very beautifully that the word sustainability needs to be replaced by survivability. Because today, we tend to use the word sustainability so casually, but looking at what's happened with climate change in the past few years, I don't think we're fully able to comprehend how difficult things are going to get. I mean, just look at the rainfall deficit this year to begin with. So I would say for me, sustainability has become a far more grave issue, which we feel कि अभी हमें उसके effects immediately पता नहीं चल रहे हैं, छोटे-छोटे ways में. But there will be a time where we will be hit by it in a way where we can't escape. So I think that awareness is now coming in all industries, and I'm happy about that consciousness that's coming to the world.
That's a very interesting description you gave to us, because it is extremely important for us to understand that climate change is real and sustainability or survivability, as you said, has to be the mantra for life. Look at what's happening in Europe, heat wave. I don't think anybody ever imagined that Europe will have a situation like that.
I mean, not even Europe. I mean, recently I heard the rainfall in Bangalore has been like 50% less, and my friends who work in this industry have been telling me about it. And I realized that we go on with our lives knowing so little about this, whereas that truly impacts us in every single way, which is why I'm somebody who's even more curious now to understand that at our micro levels, what is it that each one of us can do?
So let's start by understanding how you are going about it, this entire journey of becoming a sustainability enthusiast. What does it mean in this day and age? And also, we keep talking about climate change, sustainability, etc., etc. Are we even serious about it? Because if we are not using it in our daily lives, then, nothing is going to really change.
I think for a lot of people, sustainability has ended up just being a cool word. So I, in fact, want to stay away from even labels like sustainability enthusiast, because I just want to do the action that's required. So something that I can share is that I give my mother complete credit for this, because she's the one who's kind of introduced me to this. But we bought a small piece of land in the Konkan belt, and there were no trees on it, and we'd heard that years ago it used to be quite dense. So my mother did some research, and now we're doing like a Miyawaki method of building a forest, which is essentially growing small patches of indigenous species, which will take 2-3 years, and then eventually it's a quicker way to build a denser forest. So we are also in our way kind of trying to see what is it that we can do in the smaller scale that we have. And I do see a lot of people of our generation actually who are building also more consciously, even if it's homes. So these are the small ways, I think, in which we can think of change, because often change feels very intimidating. We think of it at only a global level. But if each one of us actually goes back to our homes and sees in what capacity we can do, whether it's a film set or whether it's your own house. So hopefully in a few years, we'll have a little mini forest on our land.
And how do you think you can also inspire others? Because when, like you spoke about how you got into this project with your mother, it was a small plantation drive that you did with your mother. Here's the thing about biodiversity. The videos do not really go viral as we see of climate change really going viral across the world via Instagram, etc. So what do you think people can do at a local level? How can they get inspiration from what you're doing at a local level that can help improve local biodiversity?
I'm not in a position to answer that question because I don't think I've done enough to be an inspiring figure to anybody in this matter. But I will say that more than speaking about it, we think of being modern and progressive as only moving away from what was. But I think even if we go back and see traditionally, what was our land? What was our produce? Where was it coming from? How were people, what was their relationship with land? You know, we're a culture that looks at mountains and rivers as sacred. So I think going back to that sentiment and realizing why, I mean, that is God essentially, isn't it? Jo hame itna kuch de raha hai. What is our responsibility towards it? So I will say that more than doing anything for virality, there's a lot we can get done in this world if we are not willing to take credit for it. You know? So for me right now, it's about just building my own knowledge and understanding what is it that I can do at my level. And also perhaps for a lot of people who are curious about it, it'll be nice to have more spaces where they can also have more information, right? Because when you say building a forest, I mean, that sounds very overwhelming, right? But our relationship with nature. But I do see a lot of this whole thing of farm to table has come back. I mean, it sounds really fancy, but farm to table is what? Like, it's like literally fresh produce that is not going through different mediums. So it's just educating yourself, and any kind of growth first starts with acceptance of where you are and calling yourself out.
You know, I asked that question specifically because whatever you do, your followers, people who've been watching your journey in cinema, etc., will also try and get some inspiration. So what you do becomes extremely important.
So which is why I did share it on social media, but I shared it in a way that we're starting on this journey. We don't know how successful it'll be, but it's just the attempt to try and see. We planted 1,500 saplings there. And I think because there is also so much negativity on social media that it's nice to share a lot of these positive things as well, where you can build your community. I think building communities is so important because you'll be surprised how many people there are who are interested in understanding how they can create a certain ecosystem, right?
You spoke about negativity on social media. I mean, it is a reality. It is the hard fact. As an actor, as somebody who's curious about sustainability, how do you really look at negative comments? How do you deal with negativity?
The question didn't connect sustainability and...
No, you're trying to do something on sustainability, like you said, you're curious. So I'm just trying to understand your perspective. How do you deal with people, who write random comments, etc. As an actor? How do you deal with it?
I think if you pretend to be somebody who you're not, or if you pretend to know more than you do, then people can call you out. If I already call myself out by saying that I'm not an expert and that I'm still learning, then I don't think there is any scope because I myself am calling myself out in the process. I will say though that something that I find very powerful in my field of work are stories. The power of cinema, storytelling is so strong even in this field. I was part of the All Living Things Environmental Film Festival, which essentially has different films on different subjects related to nature, wildlife, environment, and you'll be surprised to see the incredible films that people have made. Instead of telling somebody, do this, do that, don't cut trees, don't kill wildlife, the power of a story to shake you and therefore for it to move you enough for you to reflect is so much that I realized that that's a space that more people can really explore to create an impact.
Is that something that drew you towards it, or is that something you learned after being a part of it?
So ages ago, before I started acting, I had made a small documentary about stray cows in Rajasthan. I mean, a very random topic, but it was a short documentary which was selected at TIFF Hot Dogs. And I realized that a good way to connect with people is through emotions. And over the years, the space of environmental filmmaking and storytelling, which sounds boring, but if you see the films, they're fantastic, they're entertaining. And a film festival like the All Living Things Environmental Film Festival, it really gives you such a great opportunity. So as I was on the jury of that film festival, and as a result, I learned so much about issues around the world, from endangered animals to what happens when the banyan tree in your, land which has been there for 200 years is cut down because something has been built. I mean, the emotional resonance of these decisions. So it caused a lot of awareness in me. So I felt like if the audience, if the public is open to it, then that would also be one small tool in making a difference.
And before we talk about your acting career journey and the niche that you've carved for yourself, I want to quickly ask you one more question on sustainability. Was there any impact or influence of your parents in this?
Of course, I think as basic values, not to waste, and it's a very small thing, not to waste and to understand that you're a very small part of this earth. As human beings, we carry so much ego with us everywhere. We think we're the greatest thing that this planet has made. But nature humbles you, right? We have to have humility. So these value systems are what at this age are bringing me back to realize that it's not just the job of big industries and big corporations and big NGOs to do this. As citizens, what is it that we have to do? Whether it is a small thing like sorting your garbage, or your relationship with plastic, or your relationship with animals, nature, everything, right? And nobody's perfect, everybody's in their journey, but talking about it has to move beyond the cool word of sustainability is what I think.
Do you think Gen Z is more proactive in this?
I do think so. At least with the people I've interacted with, I think they're definitely much more conscious and much more in tune with nature, is what I feel.
Interesting. Let's also talk a little bit about your career in the film industry, in cinema. You've often chosen, very unconventional roles. Is there a larger purpose that guides what you pick?
I mean, I've picked scripts that excite me. Now, Mirzapur was something that I thought was very entertaining. Broken News, which was in the world of news reporting. I loved the story. I felt like it was a character that could create an impact. A show like Guilty Minds is in the world of, legal. It's a legal drama. So I've been fortunate to play characters that kind of will shake you, that have a point of view. And that's perhaps my little contribution to trying to make a difference. But I want to do everything. I want to be part of stories that stand for something, but also stories that I empathize with all you journalists after playing that part.
And I'm sure even the audience would agree to that. Is that a yes? No?
I don't know how many people have watched it. I see some nods.
Yeah. So, has there been any role that, maybe changed your view towards society?
The ones I mentioned, actually. I think the most beautiful part about being an actor is that you get to live many lives in one lifetime. You get to understand yourself so much better. Playing Radha Bhargav in The Broken News gave me a sense of the turmoil of wanting to make a difference, but what does that really mean in a society? How dirty do your hands have to really get to make a difference? What is the inner whirlwind you have to deal with? Or Kashaf Kaze in Guilty Minds, where I played a lawyer. These two women that I played, I felt really had a very strong impact on me. Besides that, I think it's a privilege to do this and to be able to connect with your audience. Sometimes I think we end up having a little bit of that power where we can make a difference by speaking about things that we are passionate about, and people will listen.
Something about journalism that shocked you after, doing Broken News? Or something that came as a revelation?
Oh man, a lot of things. Not everything is black and white, and you have to accept that. I think it's very easy for people who are not part of this world to say, oh, this is black and this is white, but the pressure is intense for you journalists, and I understand that so much. Also to kind of find your voice in all of that can also be a challenge. as my character had. But eventually, I think you just can't judge any industry until you're in it. So as an actor, when I get to do a little bit of these different things, my empathy as a person grows, I would say. So yeah, it's very stressful. So I feel you.
It's interesting how you say there's nothing black or white.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a wonderful way of putting out what one really goes through
And
when
having
one is in
empathy.
journalism.
I mean, since we're talking about sustainability, isn't that the core of it anyway? Empathy is the core of everything. You know, it's not about being arrogant about what difference you want to make. We are all in a capitalistic world. We all want to progress in a certain way. But can we really give that much importance and that much, with that much humility, can we deal with this planet? Because I feel like sometimes it's just our lack of humility and our ego as human beings that comes in the way for anything that we do.
You're returning to big screen after a gap of about 5 odd years. I mean, why did you take so much time?
Not returning. I think returning sounds like a very big word, like I was on an odyssey or something. I just invariably got more work in the OTT space. But this September, I'm excited that Mirzapur, the film, is releasing, and Hewan, which is directed by Priyadarshan sir. Both films on the big screen, something I don't take for granted at all. And I think it's going to be exciting because after a long time, I'm going to be able to do something on the big screen.
As an actor, what is better, a film or a series on OTT or big screen?
Whatever works and whatever the audience likes. At this point, whatever gets the audience to watch it is exciting. I mean, the story matters really. और आजकल content इतना ज़्यादा है, इतनी चीजें हैं in your face all the time. I think the aim is to do work that stays with you. You know, I've thought of my journey is not as a 5-year journey, 10-year journey, but you want to be in this in the long run. Lambi race ka ghoda banna hai. So eventually, even after 20 years, what is the work that people are going to remember you by? That's more important to me than one hit and one good run. So I want to do work that I'm proud of also.
Also, the point is that while you're doing films or series, etc., for OTT, you also have to keep your presence felt on social media as well. Do you think, as an actor now, it's too much to do? Acting is easier, keeping up with trends and all is little difficult, or is it like okay to juggle both?
See, the thing is, today social media has become like a bank account. Everybody has one. It's your relationship with it. Personally, I'm not a content creator as such. Yes, a lot of my work and the economics of my work is related to social media as well. I do it as much as I enjoy it. I like to travel. I like to tell stories about my grandfather. There'll be some, digital campaigns that I'll do about that. But I feel like my bread and butter is not completely coming from social media all the time, which is why maybe I'm not as stressed. But I think every actor wants to be seen and hide at the same time. It's that relationship. You want it, but not too much. It's hard. It can be a little hectic sometimes.
And you've also openly said that now you're choosing to be fearless and get out of your comfort zone. Yeah. Was that a purely creative decision? And or did figuring out what you stand for off-screen change what you're willing to do on-screen?
Yeah, you answered my question. I'm trying to discover what I stand for right now. Moving forward, what is it that I want to build? And build being the key word. What are the principles I want to live life by? I think God has been kind, work has been good, but now is the time for me to look inwards and ask myself this question. And I think everybody has phases where they want to reinvent. So when I say out of my comfort zone, I mean, I'm willing to say, what is it that I want to learn? What is it that I've struggled with? What more do I want to do with my life beyond entertainment also? And sometimes that means saying no's. Sometimes that means trying things that you haven't done before. So I am in that space right now. I also want to tell stories. I would like to direct and produce as well. So that journey can be exciting, intimidating. So let's see where it goes, but I'm ready for it.
These days when we get press releases, sustainable production is used quite frequently.
Wow. Okay.
So I want to understand from you, since you have spent years on sets, Is anyone actually counting the carbon footprint of a shoot, or is sustainable production just a line that's written in press release?
No, definitely. Actually, right now I'm filming with Veer Das on his horror comedy film, and I can immediately see the difference. There's no plastic on set. You know, earlier on shoots they used to have mini bottles, and now you don't have that. You either have a dispenser or you have, bigger bottles. These are very small things, but for a film set it's a very big deal because there can be a lot of wastage. So I feel like in whatever little way they are conscious about it, a lot of things go digital instead of printing scripts, things like that. I won't say right now there may be any big monumental difference, but these are small changes that I see people naturally make,
We just have a minute and 20 seconds
Oh,
left.
yeah.
So let's wrap up with
Yes.
a quick rapid fire.
Oh my God, okay.
One film everyone should watch for its message.
I hate these one-word answers. I can't think suddenly. For its message.
Any one film.
Okay, I'll answer this question later. I'm thinking. You
Okay.
continue with the other films.
One habit you've adopted that's genuinely good for the planet.
One habit I've adopted which is genuinely good for the planet. Being very, very scared. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that. It's because
How is being scared good for the planet?
Because you do things more consciously then. You don't take things for granted. You don't take things for granted. Today, I think climate change is a bigger threat to the world than global terrorism. And I don't think people realize the intensity of it because it's not affecting us immediately. So if there is a change I've made is to understand the depths of the issues of the problem, I would say.
I think acknowledging a problem is usually the first
Extremely,
step.
because that's why you start creating any kind of change by accepting that you don't know enough and that you need to know
Right.
enough.
One myth about sustainability you would like to bust.
That I would like to.
Bust.
One myth about sustainability, that sustainability is not just the responsibility of big corporations. Sustainability is also a household responsibility, what I truly believe.
A book or a creator who has, influenced your worldview.
A book or creator that has influenced. I would say that my worldview is largely influenced by the value system that my parents have given me. And it's that value system that grounds me to now. So,
One word that defines our future today. Hope, courage, innovation, or responsibility, and why?
all of it: hope, courage, innovation, and responsibility. And also the wish is that beyond a social media algorithm, the wish is if all of us are able to look beyond our social media and really go into the depths of issues, think critically, and not just fall prey into what the world wants to tell us. And I think that's very important, to have that neuroplasticity for anything that we care about and that we are passionate about. That beyond these conversations, if I really care about something, how easily swayed am I? Or am I really going deep into understanding what the situation is or what the issue is about, doing my homework and then forming an opinion about those things?
Should we revisit that question? One film everyone should watch for its message?
Let me plug my work right now at this point and say that since I have 2 films coming out in September, please watch those 2 films, Mirzapur and Hewan.
Fantastic. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much,
Thank
Shriya.
you.
Wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you so
for
much.
joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shriya, and for that wonderful conversation. And as Shriya powerfully put it, sustainability has to move beyond labels. It has to translate into real life action as well. With that, a big round of applause for Shriya Pilgaonkar, who has been generous enough to grace the event here.